Hello, friends. I want to talk to you today about the slippery slope. And in doing so, I would like to quote for you from a number of sources. The first one has 4 lines, and each line has some similarities. I begin. Put not your trust in princes, nor in the Son of Man, in whom there is no help. The second one says, put not your confidence in nobles, in a Son of Man, in whom there is no salvation. The third one says, do not put your trust in princes, each a Son of Man, in whom there is no help. The fourth one, trust not in princes, in a Son of Man, for he hath no deliverance. Like I said, I want to talk to you about the slippery slope. In this nation, many years ago, our forefathers rose up against the British government and fought for independence. And it happened because they watched the erosion of their freedom. They watched the erosion of their humanity and decided that enough was enough. In the preamble to our Constitution, the framers write, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America." Before they got to this point, we had the Declaration of Independence. And here is the Declaration of Independence. "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." So the founding fathers got to the point where they concluded that these were some basic things that were necessary for their continued survival on this continent. And they concluded, obviously, that under the rule of the British government, this would never happen. And so they had to decide to form their own government. The First Amendment, the Bill of Rights, the First Amendment says, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances." The Second Amendment, "A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." In these two first amendments to the Bill of Rights, you will see that the founding fathers are following up on what they said earlier. They are looking at your rights, my rights, our right as people, as human beings, to live and to live the way we wanted to. Now, let's do some step back in history, because we're talking about the slippery slope. in the early days of Christianity, in the first 300-400 years, well, they began with persecution under Rome after all. But by the 4th century, they had an emperor by the name of Constantine, who became a Christian. And under this Christian emperor, the church flourished until gradually the church began to enact rules and regulations and laws, until the church that was founded in the name of a man called Jesus of Nazareth the church itself became the persecutor of the people that it was meant to serve. As a result, it got to the point where the books, the writings of the people who founded the church, guided the church, the people that were used by God for the establishment of this church, the writings of those individuals became illegal for the members of the church to own and to read. Can I give you another example? In the country of Haiti, there was a doctor by the name of Francois Duvalier. Francois Duvalier was a smart man, a good man. I listened to my brothers in the country of Haiti tell me the stories of Dr. Francois Duvalier, and he was a good, loving country doctor. They tell me that when people came to Dr. Duvalier, if they could not afford the cost of their treatment, Papa Doc would take care of them anyhow. He was a beloved physician, a beloved friend. And when the time was right in 1957, they elected him as president of Haiti. Well, 1 year later, thereabout, he survived a coup d'etat. And within 7-8 years, this loving country doctor declared him, after executing his opponents, declared himself Président à vie, president for life. Now, these two examples that I've just referenced, and David Koresh and Jim Jones, are examples of individuals who at one point seem to have had the welfare of the people at heart, until gradually that welfare was eroded and these individuals became tyrannical. Like the church, it became a place of tyranny for the people that it was meant to serve, and Baby Doc and Papa Doc, became the people's, in the eyes of some, the people's worst nightmare. Gradually, over time, they ended up where life took them. Now, what I want to say to you today is, maybe I should ask the question, what is it that gives rise to tyranny? What is it that causes a system, a government, a movement, a leader to turn against its people, his people, her people, and oppress them in the end? I want to suggest to you, tyranny rises when people keep silent. There is the tendency in us today, in human beings, that when our freedom or when the things that we care about are not being infringed, then we don't fight for them, because they are not close to our hearts. If someone comes up against our family, the people that we love, then sure enough, we will pick up arms and we will fight. But most times, when things are being done to others, or when the infringement is small, we just brush it aside. In the end, because of silence, the silence of the masses, when small things are done, little by little, those small things become greater things. I'm saying to you today is that we need to resist tyranny in all its form. And the thing is, the trouble is that tyranny never starts out as tyranny. Let's look at some things that have happened to us in this country, to this nation. Our founding fathers were religious individuals, spiritual men. And one sees that in the very Declaration of Independence, that we are endowed by our Creator with some inalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And the founding fathers talk about the influence of God in their lives as a people. Somewhere along the line, we in this nation got to the place where we took prayer and the Bible out of our school systems. No, I'm not saying it is right, and I'm not saying it is wrong, not at this point. But we took prayer and the Bible out of our school system. We legalized abortion. Today, abortion is another method of birth control. Let me leave it at that. But abortion has become another method of birth control. We look at freedom of speech and freedom of the press. We watch press briefings at the White House with the coronavirus situation, and we listen as the President of the United States attack people who ask him questions, members of the press who ask him questions that challenge him or seem to question his leadership. There is a anti-Second Amendment movement that is going on, and we listen to politicians say that they will come and take people's guns, and we listen to politicians say that people only need 3 bullets for a gun, and we listen to people say that guns are killing people. The number one, there's freedom of the press. And because I ask you a very challenging question about your stewardship, it doesn't give you the right to attack me as a person. After all, freedom of the press allows me to ask you just about anything. The Second Amendment I read earlier, I think I did. Now, see, I'm getting old, so I'm forgetting things. The Second Amendment that I read earlier says that the people have the right to a militia, and the people have the right to keep and bear arms, so that if the people need to rise up against a tyrannical government, then the people have the right to do so. But we listen to what is happening. I heard something. I don't know if you heard it, but I just heard something. But I look at what happened in California as we walked into the height of the coronavirus situation, and people are flocking gun stores and are buying guns because they're scared, because after all, I heard in Texas, I heard the news, and in Texas the police said, listen, we will not be able to come out for petty crimes, somebody breaking into your car and stuff like this. We will not be there for you. People got scared because people remember what happened with back in 92 it was. People remember what happened in the LA riots, and so people wanted to protect themselves. Now, I'm saying all of this to say that if you look around you, if you look at the things that are happening in the society, if you look at the things that we are allowing, we are going down a very slippery slope. And one of these days, just like happened in Haiti with Papadoc, Francois Duvalier, just as happened with the Roman Catholic Church, just as happened with Jim Jones and David Koresh, the movement down the wrong path started as a gradual movement until it got to a point where it was overwhelming and could no longer be controlled. So therefore, if we are going to protect ourselves against things that I can see coming, then we must be willing to stand up at every point in life. If your child begins to steal your money, $1 here, $2 there, $10 there, you've got to step in and stop your child. If you don't, what you will eventually have is a thief, someone who might end up in prison for stealing. If your child portrays behaviors that are antisocial, if you don't step in, or if you say, he's just a baby, she's just a baby, he will grow it out, she will grow it. If you don't step in and do something, one day you will wake up and ask yourself, what happened to my sweet little baby? I'm leaving you with some food for thought today. Tyranny and oppression don't just arise out of the blue. Tyranny and oppression comes into being because people turned a blind eye to simple things, to things that they considered were simple things. And what I want to challenge you today as I close off this session, my opening statement says, do not put your trust in princes or in a son of man in whom there is no salvation, in whom there is no deliverance. What I'm saying to you then is that be careful where you put your trust. Be careful how much you're willing to tolerate at this point in your life. I look at the restrictions that came into being as the coronavirus pandemic expanded upon us. And I look at the restrictions that are put in place, and I realize and say to myself, anything that the politicians get away with today, those things will become our nightmare tomorrow. Anything that any of our rights that they can infringe on today in the name of our safety, they will expand upon those infringements in years to come. We are on a slippery slope. Rome, one of the world's greatest empires, in its heyday was a beautiful thing. But finally, it died and exists no more. All we do is to read about it in the annals of history. I'm saying to you today that we are facing another challenge. Morals are declining in this country at a rate that we have never seen. Government is infringing upon our rights at an alarming rate, and we are not realizing it. I am saying to you that if we are not careful, you're going to wake up one day and you're going to ask yourself, how did we get to this place? Politicians and leaders capitalize on fear capitalize on the unexpected to sneak things upon us that we were not expecting. I am saying to you, I'm asking you, don't sit idly by while church leaders, politicians, city governments, whoever it is, sneak things by you until you wake up one day to find that all the rights and freedom afforded you by the Constitution of the United States have been taken away and you are held captive in the land of the free, in the home of the brave. Until next time, this is Jim Davis. God bless you.